Yo, Lito Lolo coming back down to Earth here, and let's take a trip down to a time where there was color. A place where innovation was at the forefront for a lot of these monopolies, and creativity was a key to the door that allowed us to embark down a path of individualism, at least from a consumer standpoint. Designs, vibrant hues that ranged from all spectrums of the rainbow was a commonplace that we adored. A time where Hot Topic positioned their gothic gates at the foreground of their store, intimidating all those who came close to its radius. A time where you could pick up a controller and start playing a game on the console at your local McDonald's, Walmart, or GameStop. Logos expressed themselves with originality, and visionaries splattered their paintbrushes onto their inventions everywhere they went. Phones carved into eccentric and unique shapes and sizes, sidekicks, hot pink razors, Blackberries, and the competitiveness that these markets had with one another sparked the elevation of artistry. This was the hallmark of ideas, growth, and entertainment, blooming in all sorts of variations and products that shined a purpose of qualitative merit, until it all shattered. And dual tone swallowed all the colors into oblivion, stripping it bare from its character and personality, where the bitter taste of structure and featureless consumerism remained. Examples include McDonald's shifting its once lively red and yellow aesthetic with its distinctive roof design into a disastrous concrete slab that resembles a prison. And to top that off, it seems that most of these remodeled versions are no longer providing a play place for the children, which was honestly the heart and soul of what made McDonald's so great in comparison to its competitors. You know, the spectrum of colored plastics and rubber components fused together to create an elaborate design of mazes, tubes, slides, and ball pits has transformed into this. 2 screens and 2 chairs. Not even comfortably well-designed chairs either, but just 2 regular chairs that you could get off of Amazon in the corner of the room. It was like an afterthought for these people who worked on this garbage design. It was like one guy was like, "Oh, fuck, we forgot the children. You know what? Get 2 iPod-looking screens and put them on the wall. And Gerald, go get 2 chairs from the nearest Home Depot. Stat." Hot Topic's unorthodox depiction of macabre and gothic themes that really defined ingenuity, separating itself at the time from every other store at your nearest local mall, to eventually flushing every part of its identity away into a soulless, redundant, monotonous monopoly that is just depressing when you really look at it. You know, the flavor that we once knew has turned into an unseasoned meal that you would get from the UK, where they are now selling literally anything they could get their hands on, really. Anime merchandise, hip-hop graphic tees, superhero gear, candy, and quite honestly, anything that you could think of that is pop culture related, it's most likely at this store, you know? This is basically the antithesis of what Goth and Hot Topic truly was supposed to represent. I guess Harvey Dent was right when he said you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, because this is definitely an example of that. The diverse selection of weird and unique cell phone designs that enhanced innovation. There were ones you could flip up, slide, use as a walkie-talkie, and others that were so odd and gimmicky that you just had to get your hands on it. Like, what in the world is this? Or this? But one thing they never missed out on was a variety of different colors and striving to create something new and fresh. Fast forward to today, all we really have is the iPhone and Samsung competing with one another, and the former has been making the same phone for the last decade. Sure, we get slightly better features, but for the last, I would say, 5 years, it's all been the same. Where's the innovation that Apple was founded on? We need to bring Steve Jobs back like the Red Priestess did to Jon Snow in the Game of Thrones. I want to get bricked hard the next time Apple comes out with a product. How do they expect us to purchase their iPhones if the newly released ones are similar to the ones that they made 3 years ago? The iPhone 16 is the same thing as the 13, just with a slightly better camera. Hell, the only reason I still have an iPhone is because I'm afraid of change, which I have to talk to a therapist about. But that's not your problem. We don't have to get too into that. And the colorways, don't even get me started on these boo-boo ass colors. What is this, Easter? You know, where are the Amaranths, the Zafrays, the Sinopias? At least Samsung cares a little bit about being creative with their uniquely designed products, but you're saying this is all we have?
This?
Every business has seemed to incorporate a more minimalist approach to their setting in the big 2025. The color that we once knew has disappeared, like in Pleasantville or The Giver, and has turned into a bland corporate blunder. Even some of our dwellings are monotonous, along with the taste that has adjusted on our tongues, with the designs of millennial gray consuming the interior of some modern homes, resembling a stonemason's occupation. What is this? Game of Thrones? I realize that's what we were doing. I mean, just look at this. Look at it, really? This is where we're going for? This looks like Winterfell. The gleaming, eccentric fervor that was a quintessence for ingenuity in the past, and the passion that came with it, is no longer at the forefront of these companies' blueprints, reducing originality completely. So, what changed? As we know, minimalism in corporate design has been an imperative tool that these companies have been utilizing in their strategies, and a lot of that has to do with them following the notion that less is in fact more. They believe that it emphasizes simplicity, efficiency, and has a severe impact from a consumer perspective. It removes the clutter and the heaps of unnecessary disorder that can cause the customer to be overwhelmed, forcing them to be indecisive. This ideology can correlate with Hicks' law, which states that the time it takes to make a decision increases logarithmically as the number of choices available increases as well. So in order to eliminate that entirely, companies have decided to reduce the disorganization of vibrancy, possibilities, and in actuality, the creativity that we once knew. I mean, let's take X and Google for example. Their layouts are both clean, simple, and straightforward, with very dual colors like black and gray dominating their websites, which obviously taps into human psychology, right? These companies are in our head like we're the goddamn MK Ultra project. You know, when you diminish all the scattered mess, vivid colorways, and invoke minimalistic tendencies, the consumer is typically going to feel inclined to be more calm and trusting to the business at hand. Another reason I believe that corporate minimalism influenced business designs is due to the internet and cell phones becoming the normalized standard for the global population. It has provided everyone with accessibility to use our phones for pretty much anything, and these companies have decided to take advantage of that and operate their businesses online as well. So, in order to emphasize visual appeal, they had to alter the logos with the more clean, sleek design to fit the screen and the app marketplace. It emphasizes the core message without being overbearing. It also improves recognition and memorability, and as I've said, it eases the consumer to feel a sense of serenity, which honestly is a reason I feel they continue to go back to this repetitive Apple and Android layout as well, because even though it's not innovative by any means at all, this large rectangular design screen is still the best when it comes to functionality. I can't think of a more inventive way to construct a cell phone that will still have an efficient usage to doom scroll on TikTok or to play Clash of Clans on. But let's be real here. Another big reason that corporate minimalism controls these monopolies is because of capitalism. Just think about how much money they saved by eliminating all these additional expenses that were too costly to maintain. You know, like all the paint that they had to purchase for the McDonald's colorway, and you know, every time they had to build the foundation for a new McDonald's, they had to, now we gotta figure out how to structure this. We have to, you know, provide an architect, and instead of just making it a box, you know. How hard was it to upkeep that McDonald's play place in the back? I'm sure they had to clean that at least once a week to prevent germs, because I mean, kids are gross. Let's be real. So I'm sure they just wanted to eliminate that entirely, take everything out, make it easy for not everybody, but make it easy for the consumer, not the consumer. Make it easy for you, for the CEO. I know you're not the CEO. What am I saying? What I am trying to say is, at the end of the day, the main priority for these corporations is how much money they can make from their business ventures and how much they can save. They don't give a fuck about creativity. They don't give a fuck about anything like that. They just care about Benjamin Franklin. The result is the loss of personality, overused monotony, and the soulless lack of imagination and freedom of expression that we had once knew. Anyways, that's all for me. I'm off to another dimension. See ya.